What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you guys haven't seen the last video, be sure to go back and check it out. We finally started on the K-Swap Civic Coupe, and we did all of the hot parts components, or almost all of the hot parts components. Amazon still didn't come through. I still don't have the hardware for the turbo to the manifold, but we're not in a rush. The big main thing is to get the turbo downpipe and dump to fabricate it, and we did just that. Now that the turbo and the manifold is sitting in position, we want to start moving into the second portion of this build, which is the intercooler, the charge pipes, the blow-off valve, the IAT sensors, the whole entire charge pipe system. I feel like this part of the build is the fun part for me because I like fabrication, you know, playing textures with all the parts before finalization, and then when you finish welding everything together, that is literally the product of you. You know what I mean? So with that being said, guys, we're going to get started on the first thing here is the intercooler. And also, if you guys did watch the last video, you guys might have noticed that a new kitten has appeared in the garage, and it's still here. Yeah, he's been there for the last like 3 days or so. Sorry, I didn't mean to assume gender, but it's been there the last couple of days, and it's been eating really well because the food bowl has been going completely empty. If you guys don't remember, we are using this intercooler that we got off of eBay. Very affordable, under 200 bucks, and we've pushed this intercooler to, you know, 500 horsepower before, and I've seen this intercooler on a couple other cars on YouTube, and they're pushing 600 plus. Bottom plated. This is a same side end tank where the in and out is on the same side, and for the K series, typically, you know, we run this style unless you're like center feed, then you can run the typical left and right side, but this gets cooled off twice. It goes through here or the opposite side, whatever your orientation is. It goes in, gets cooled off, goes down, around, gets cooled off again, and then it exits. So this is what we're going to be using. It is bunged on top and the bottom, so like I said, orientation, it just depends on whichever position works better for your setup. So let me go ahead and mock this thing up real quick. You guys see this curve right here? This curve right here is going to match this curve on the intercooler. So this is going to be the bottom side, and this one's going to be on the top. So the core support itself seems to be all factory, which means this entire section right here is all factory as well too. It's kind of hard to see, but all of this right here, we're going to need to cut out for the intercooler piping to go back into the engine bay. If you guys look, there's no room. Same thing on the top, no room. So I'm gonna have to remove the bumper support, make my marks, and trim this accordingly. Let's go ahead and center up this intercooler roughly. Somewhere right there. And we have the frame all cut out, and I painted it the open exposed metal to ensure we don't rust later down the road. This coupler just needs to be trimmed back about 1/2 an inch, and it'll suck it in away from the frame. If I push it, you can see how it slides backwards. So we have all that gap right here. If I cut it, it'll suck it in. It'll be away from the frame to ensure we don't cut the coupler later down the road. I will probably put some vacuum lines right there as well too. This same coupler fits the bottom one without modification, and it goes right back through the core support, straight shot to wherever we need to run it in the engine bay. So this coupler right here is mine. I'm not going to modify it. I do have a full intercooler kit sitting over there that we're going to be using the couplers from. I'm sure the kit has 2 90s in there, and right now next step is to really center up this intercooler and make some mounting tabs so it can sit up on its own. The intercooler does come with its own brackets, but these guys are really thin, and I don't feel like it'll hold the weight of the intercooler, especially if you got something larger than the one we're using. there are so many different ways you can make mounting tabs for intercoolers, and I'm gonna keep this one very simple, just you know, for those who don't have a welding machine to weld directly to the core support. I'm gonna make this a bolt-in style in case for whatever reason this thing goes back to all motor. You can unbolt this bracket and take it off entirely. So angle iron, right? I don't know if this is 1/8 inch thick, probably. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this in half. Here we go, 2 pieces. Clean up the edges a little bit. I'm gonna use a vice grip to hold this because I'm gonna drill out some holes, and there are gonna be 2 bolts in this general area. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna drill the hole, offset it, just so that the bolt doesn't interfere with each other depending on how big the hardware you're using. So I'm not drilling out the second hole just yet because we need to know where the bung on the intercooler lands, and then I gotta mark it and then find that center point to drill out the hole. All right guys, here's our bracket, both holes drilled out and painted black, right? So let's go ahead and get this thing installed and show you guys how. I'm gonna go ahead and bolt the bracket to the intercooler. Bracket is on. I did leave it a little loose so that way we can flush the bracket to the core support, right? Center it one more time, somewhere there. I'm gonna use a center punch. I'm gonna go ahead and drill some holes. Go ahead and insert the riv nut. Hopefully this lines up. We can bolt our intercooler. Now we can tighten up our intercooler. Give you guys a closer look on the bracketry. Yes, sir. Fully removable. This thing is pretty sturdy. Once the piping is on, it's going to make it even more firm. And if you really wanted to, you can make a top bracket some way, somehow, but intercooler installed. You can hate on it all you want, right? But I've used this plenty of times on the channel. Plenty successful builds. Max Speeding Rod Intercooler Piping Kit. For the price, you cannot beat it. Comes with all the bends you can possibly think of, and a whole bunch of couplers and all the T-bolt clamps. Let's go ahead and open this thing up. I wish they had this in black coupler, because I think this is blue, but we're gonna find out right now. You already know what it is. So if you guys look, we got this in raw aluminum. And this is weldable without having to like grind the coating off or whatever. They do have it in black, obviously, that's coated, but raw aluminum, if you're gonna be doing some welding. Now, if you're just using a bunch of couplers to piece them together, doesn't matter if you have it in black or whatever, because you're not gonna be welding it, right? We have the couplers right here. We have 6 straights and 2 90s. We're gonna be using this right here for the intercooler, and because it's behind the bumper, I'm not worried about it being blue because it wouldn't be too noticeable, but we got 2 90s right there. We have a bunch of T-bolt clamps, I believe 2, 4, 6, 8, 16 in total, which is for 8 couplers, which we have there. We have 2 45s, 2 straights, 2 90s, and 2 180s. This is gonna be plenty to build our intercooler piping kit. First thing is first, let's go ahead and get the coupler on the intercooler. See how it fits, because I noticed that it is shorter than the one I had. But this one, because it's short, it looks like it's touching the radiator about 1/4 of an inch. But if I push it up, it'll clear. We might be able to get away with that. And then the top one, fits perfect. Perfect. So typically with a Just-TIG rear top mount, I run a 45 off the turbo, which clocks it over the transmission to go towards the intercooler. But because the kit only came with 2 90s and 6 straights, I'm gonna use a straight off the turbo instead and just use one of the 45 pipe, right? But I don't want to use the blue one because if you look, it's like a lot of colors going on. If you're Cambodian, I mean, you know, this is our color, but I'm gonna switch it over to a black coupler just to kind of keep it a little more subtle in the engine bay. And I'm sure I got a couple of them here somewhere. Here we go. And then right here we'll do a 45, which is this guy here. And we're gonna have to trim this back a lot because this leg is too long and it's gonna interfere with the radiator hose, right? So 45, I'm probably gonna guess somewhere there, right? I'm gonna go ahead and cut this real quick. Here's our cut. Let's go ahead and test fit this. Look at that. Okay. I might have to put a 90 right here to bring it down. And then it'll just be another 90 into the intercooler. I completely forgot we have 180s to use. And if I cut it right down the middle, we have 2 90s. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Our 180 is now 2 90s. We got the first charge pipe all mocked up from the turbo down to the intercooler. Everything is butted up really nicely and we're looking good. We are looking good. Now, I'm probably gonna have to fold that little tab right there on the radiator just a little bit to clear the charge pipe, but not too shabby, not too shabby. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to tack weld these pieces together, and then I'm going to mock up the intercooler to the throttle body without, like, you know, making this thing fall apart if I move around too much in this tight general area. So I'm going to tack this real quick and then we'll get started on this motherfucker right here. Got the first charge pipe all tack welded up. This thing, it's solid, and like I said, I didn't have to prep anything. I literally just tacked them right on. That right there, guys, is a clear indication of raw aluminum. So this throttle body is like a 70 or 72 mil, and that's typically a 3-inch. And because we're using 2.5 piping, we need a transition 3-inch to 2.5. I'm gonna check my bin and see if I have one. Oh, I sure definitely do. Hopefully it fits. There we go. Bada bing, bada boom. So let's try to figure out what bends we're gonna need to make this charge pipe. This 90 would have almost fitted. I do need a little bend, like a little pie cut, because it goes in line of right here and it interferes. Okay guys, so this looks good. This looks really good. I'm gonna go ahead and just mark everything up, and then I'm gonna tack it, test fit it one more time, and if everything looks good, we're gonna weld everything up. Guys, we are really pushing through with this intercooler and charge pipe setup. The top one from the intercooler to the throttle body is all tacked up and it is looking really good. This thing goes in at about 1.5 inches. It goes pretty far. And then same for the bottom one over here. It comes all the way to about right there. That's a good amount in the coupler for the T-bolt clamp to clamp it down. And right now, before I pull everything off to weld it, I got to figure out where the blow-off valve is going to go. I think typically back here somewhere because we have so much space. And the IAT sensor bung probably, it's kind of too close right here next to the radiator hose. The IAT sensor bung I'm talking about is this guy right here. Right? For the K series, guys, if you're force inducted, you need a weld-on bung that clamps this thing down so it doesn't pop off under boost. And I think with the length of the harness, I think I'm able to try to get it like right here somewhere. Or no, that's too close. I'm probably gonna do it right here before the radiator hose. So I'm gonna mark that out right there. I'm gonna go ahead and set up the blow-off valve and kind of get a rough mark so I know where to weld it and cut the hole out. So blow-off valve. Right here we have a max Peating rod 50mm blow-off valve, and a lot of people hate it. I can tell you that this thing works just as good. My cars has tile everything. All the fun project car has this blow-off valve, typically in black, but because everything in this car is red, we got a red blow-off valve. We're just gonna set it up on the flange, no rubber O-ring, because we don't want to burn that when we burn the aluminum. So I'm gonna go ahead and clamp this up. Definitely gonna have to tuck this low under the core support because on Mario's car, I had it a little high and it actually interfered with the hood. So somewhere down here, and I'm gonna do it on the bend curving down so that way when the throttle valve closes, the air goes directly out the blow-off valve so it doesn't return back to the turbo. But probably somewhere right there. I think that looks good. Look at that, guys. Look at that. Bead rolled. Shout out to one of you guys who sent the bead roller to the P.O. box. Definitely comes in clutch. Let's get to welding. Is your belly full now, my boy? Yeah? Yes? Yeah, okay, okay. Sheesh. Alright guys, so last night I welded late and we got the charge pipe from the turbo to the intercooler to the intake manifold all done. We have the blow-off valve flange, the IAT sensor flange all welded up as well too. And let me show you guys, this thing looks freaking awesome. To me, awesome. And this is probably one of my best like welds I've done in a while for aluminum. Check it out. This one I tried to like do half. I tried to run a long bead, but it was getting hot and my gloves are really thin. It's a fair glove and I don't know, that looks really good, really good. The flange itself, this is definitely coated, and I grinded down enough to be able to weld it, but I should have went a little further. You can see there is no cleaning action on the top side, but nonetheless it is all welded up. The IAT sensor bung right here at the bottom, shout out to Just Tig for this flange. This is all welded up as well too. This is going to ensure the IAT sensor is not going to pop off under load. And I forgot right now, just looking at it, I need to drill this hole out, which is not a big deal. Got the ends B-rolled on both of them. Let me go ahead and grab the other one real quick. So this right here is the turbo to the intercooler. This one looks good as well. Very stoked on how it turned out. This one right here I actually burned through, so I had to like patch it, grind it, and do it again. That's my fault. This one looks really good because back then I would just run a bunch of pie cuts to get the bends I'm looking for. This time around with the max Ping rod kit, I was able to use the bends that I needed to kind of minimize the amount of weld that was going to go on here, and this thing is looking freaking awesome. It sits this way, and I also got this end B rolled as well too, so that's looking freaking awesome. So yeah, these guys are almost ready to go back on. This one not permanently, just because the turbo, the Amazon, it's lost somewhere. That's what it said, is delayed, and it hasn't moved in 2 days, so I don't have the hardware for the turbo to the manifold, which sucks. If I can find some other ones in the garage, I'll probably bolt the turbo. But the charge pipe that goes to the turbo is not going to be permanently on, but the one to the intake manifold, that's ready to go on after putting the blow valve and cutting all that hole out. So let's do that quick and then see if we can try to squeeze some other things in this video as well too. Safety first. This thing, great investment. Guys, look how well that worked. That didn't take much time at all. Hopefully that'll clear the charge pipe a lot more. Look at this modification we did to the radiator. Try to stick you guys down there. Can you guys see that clearance we have? Yeah, looking good. I also added some vacuum lines right here, so that's nice and cushiony. Hopefully it doesn't, you know, cut into the pipe or the coupler itself. So we have all the T-bolt clamps on except the one at the turbo, because the manifold and everything still has to come off. Charge pipe, blow-off valve, IAT sensor plugged in right there. I'm not running the vacuum line just yet because this manifold doesn't really have too much options, so I got to figure out what I'm going to do with the vacuum source, as well as the one for the wastegate. But charge pipe to the turbo, and this is looking freaking good. Now it does look like it has a lot of red in here, but let's go ahead and take some of these red off. And not shabby, dude, not shabby. I'm stoked about that. Definitely stoked about that. Guys, I'm going to tell y'all right now, don't be afraid to use parts off of eBay despite what anybody says. And when I'm talking about the parts off of eBay, I'm referring to like the no-name brand stuff, the parts that cost cheaper. As long as you do your research and you have a better understanding of these parts, you know, feel free to run them. You guys seen here on the channel, I've used plenty of parts off of eBay, and like I've mentioned in the Max Ping Rod GT28 video, I don't push anything here on the channel if I don't feel comfortable using it. And all the stuff that I talk about and I put in good words for is because I trust it enough. In today's video, EMUSA or EMUSA, we're using their intercooler that I paid about $130 to $150 depending on who you buy it from and where you buy it from. I've seen this intercooler hold up to like 600 horsepower without crazy IATs. It is a bar and plated setup. It is great for the K series because it's same side end tanks, and it's perfect for the budget. And in part of the intercooler, we are using the Max Pitting Rod Turbo Piping Kit. It's a universal turbo kit that comes with a bunch of bends. We have 2 straights, 2 180s, we have 2 45s, 2 90s, we have 8 couplers, and I think 16 T-bolt clamps. For under $100, you can't beat it. And if you guys use discount code YStatic, you can save an extra 10% off the order if you're buying it from Max Pitting Rod. For those who plan to weld the aluminum piping, literally don't have to prep it other than just wipe it down with acetone and go straight to burning the material. I've used this piping kit many and plenty times before, and I'm overall super satisfied with it. If you guys saw the last video, we did the hot parts, and we didn't use some quality stuff in that video, but the turbo itself is also an eBay unit. It's literally like $350, and it's a Gen 2 GTX2582R. I've personally seen that turbo when I was in Florida make $750 on a K-series car, and the guy, the tuner, swears by him all day. For the price, you can't beat it. Even if you had fun with it for like a year and it pops, another $300. But if you buy, you know, the real one of that turbo, spend $2,000 and it pops, well, pop goes the weasel. And because we were able to save a bunch of money using the lower end stuff on, you know, certain areas, we took that fundage to kind of put money towards some quality stuff, which we did here with the turbo manifold from Just TIG and the Turbo Smart wastegate from the homie Nomis Industries. So there are certain things that I personally prefer to run quality stuff, but I'm not knocking on the eBay stuff as well too. The turbo manifold in the 88 Service Sedan is eBay, and it works perfectly fine. I've seen plenty of people run them. Project Blueberry, eBay wastegate, the Flip RX CRX, eBay wastegate, the Clapped Out Integra, eBay Max Pitting Rod wastegate. Like, they work. As long as you do the precautionary check to make sure everything is good with the unit, send it. All I wanted to do in today's video was to mount the intercooler. We did that. Build the charge pipe. We did that. We did the blowoff valve as well, the IIT sensor as well, and a few other miscellaneous things. But there's still a lot more we need to do and a lot more parts we are waiting for. But as far as this video goes, we're gonna wrap it up right here, guys. I hope you find this video useful if you're boosting your Honda. The processes and explanations I've been giving you guys in these videos applies the same way if you're like doing a Sion Cam or a B series or even not a Honda. I hope you guys find these videos useful. If you guys did, be sure to leave a thumbs up. And if you guys want to stick around for more progress update on this car as well too, because I got the go from the owner to take this car myself to go to the dyno. So when it's all said and done, we're gonna drive it, we're gonna tune it, and then we're gonna deliver it. So if you guys want to stick around for all of that to follow, be sure to hit the subscribe button. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.